was the same story with a lot of fighting going on, shouting and screaming. I would distract him and try to calm him down so he doesn't lay another finger on my mum. I would escape afterwards, and it was winter, and we finally escaped the house, and I was in my slippers, and we had to walk half an hour in a deep snow, in the dark, through the field. And then we got the keys and we got back, and that probably was scariest thing I have experienced at my childhood. I literally didn't want people to point at me and say that this is an alcoholic's daughter. What can you expect from her? That's why I did my best to do well at school. At anything I did, I paid probably 200%. I left everything, took my 2 children, and started from scratch in a foreign country. There is nothing we cannot take on. We are so resilient as human beings in general that we can, take on anything. There is abundance of everything for everyone. There is no shortage of opportunities out there.
That's really nice. So this is called the komos.
Yeah, it's a komos.
Komos,
and it's a national instrument of Kyrgyzstan, which is made out of apricot wood.
Okay.
So this probably was made when I was age 9.
Yeah.
So it was specifically made for me by a local carpenter who does nothing but national instruments.
You've been playing ever since then?
I probably had a big gap where I didn't practice at all. I went to music school for 5 years. Then I actively was playing and going to the lessons every day, taking part in competitions. But then, since I finished school, I probably didn't play. So now I'm kind of practicing more and going back to playing.
Enjoying it?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, brings back memories, right?
Yes.
Right, so today we've got Cholpon on the show, and I've known Cholpon for a number of years now. We first met because we both went dancing, salsa dancing, and on episode 3 I actually spoke to her husband Tony. So today we're going to get insight into the life of the wife and hear her story. You grew up in Kyrgyzstan, didn't you? That's where you're from originally.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I'm from Kyrgyzstan. It is one of the Soviet Union countries where 93% of the area is covered in mountains and lakes. We have got one of the highest mountains called Peak Pobedy, where the height is about 7,500. So it is also regarded as second Switzerland because of the untouched nature.
And your name itself, Cholpon, is named after, is it a mountain or a lake or something?
It's a city where I was born, actually.
Okay, the city.
I was born by the lake.
Okay.
So I could see the lake from my balcony.
Yeah.
But it is one of the largest lakes as well. It's not small lake, let's put it this way.
Okay. So Cholpon is it both the city and the lake?
Cholponata is actually the name of the city.
Okay.
And my name is Cholpon, but when you actually translate it, meaning of the name, it is a brightest star on the sky.
Brightest star in the sky.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which I didn't know.
Okay. Nice, nice. So how did you get into playing the instrument?
So my parents used to work in House of Culture. So typically after school I would go to my mom's work, and I would be witnessing singing, dancing and acting, and sometimes I was the only one who was watching them. And I think it was my mom's idea to start classes. So that's how I started, and I went there for 5 years, which I look back, they were best times where I was exposed to this singing and dancing and acting. So that's how I got to play on this instrument.
Nice, nice. So do you just want to start off by going into your background and how it was like growing up, doing childhood, all the way to coming to England and sitting in this chair in front of me right now? So the whole story basically, just feel free to share what you like.
Yeah, so probably I would probably start with my dad, who was quite successful man, but somehow on the back of his success he actually got into drinking habit. So he slowly but surely he became an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it was quite a harsh, disruptive childhood, I would say.
Yeah.
Where I literally wouldn't see the end of it. Year in, year out, day in, day out, it was the same story with a lot of fighting going on, shouting and screaming. And I had to kind of manage my dad to give him food and to calm him down and put him to bed, so he can actually be distracted while my mom and my brother would escape the house, basically. And then I would time it in such a way, then I would escape the house. So that was pretty much up until age 13. So at that time, my mom decided to give up after 19 years of living together with my dad. So that's where we left him. And then we left to another city where I went to school for 3 more years until I graduated. And that probably was the most powerful thing in my growing up, where I literally didn't want people to point at me and say that this is an alcoholic's daughter. What can you expect from her?
Yeah.
That's why I did my best to do well at school. At anything I did, I paid probably 200%. So probably people weren't even talking about me, but somehow I had this vision that people were pointing at me, which encouraged me to do well in everything I did in my life. So I suppose at that time it was difficult to see the bright side, but actually that helped me to develop the resilience I have today.
Why was it that you were taking care of your father rather than your mother and brother? Did he treat you guys differently, or?
So I suppose I was the closest to my dad, because I'm the only one who never laid a finger on. He would beat my mom up, my sister up, and sometimes my brother, but somehow I had probably better relationship with him, or at least he would listen to me more. Yeah.
Were you the youngest, or?
I was middle.
Okay, so you got an older sister?
Older sister and younger brother.
Okay, yeah.
So I would distract him and try to calm him down so he doesn't lay another finger on my mom, and which would enable my mom and my younger brother to escape the house through the back door, and then I would carry on distracting him and time it my escape.
Yeah.
So I would escape afterwards, and we would literally sleep in different places, like Most places we slept was our neighbor, next door nursery, and there was also flat of my mom's colleague, who was very kind woman, who allowed us to use her flat from time to time. And one episode in particular I will never forget was it was winter, and we finally escaped the house, and I was in my slippers, and we had to walk half an hour in a deep snow in the dark through the field. And then we got the keys and we got back, and that probably was scariest thing I have experienced at my childhood, walking through the field at night with no lighting.
Yeah.
And then later on, actually, my dad found out about that flat, and he would come to that flat banging on the door as well.
Okay, yeah.
So, and once my mom had to open the door, and then he came in, and he was looking for another man. He thought that my mom was having an affair, but they were only my mom, myself, and my brother. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary childhood, basically.
Yeah, it was quite tough. It was very tough up until age 13. So all my childhood was associated with the drunken dad who would come and do the fight and basically misbehave, yeah.
And then you tried to make up for it by doing well, because you didn't want to be associated with that, right? You didn't?
Yeah. I think I didn't want to be associated with my dad, because I thought that at least I have to be better than him, and that's why I did my most efforts to do well at school. So I've got the highest mark at school, which subsequently led me to have the top marks at university degree as well.
In Asian culture, there's a lot of there's deep connection to the family, isn't it? So there's a lot of shame associated if you are perceived a certain way. If your family life is not good, there's a lot of shame associated with it, right?
Yeah. And although I didn't have much of my dad's involvement in my upbringing, my mom was absolutely a key person who actually played an instrumental role who I am today, who was very kind and very loving. So all of the love I had from my mom, probably.
Okay. And you're still very close to her today, right?
Yes. Okay. I still very close, and I speak to my mom every day through WhatsApp. Yeah. Usually it's in the morning, even if it is for 5 minutes. I always give her a call to find out what she's up to. So probably she's still my rock, I would say.
Yeah. And she's met your kids also quite a lot.
Yeah. She comes here quite regularly, and we try to visit my country on a regular basis, so they can actually get to know each other. And in fact, my children absolutely love visiting my country. They always want to go there, even though they don't speak much of the language, but they absolutely love going there and spending time with my family and relatives.
From those childhood experiences, you grew up, you went to university, and then after that, did you move abroad, or what happened after university?
I did a law degree at university. Then I was asked to stay at uni to lecture, so I did that for another 2 years. During that time, I met my first husband, who was from my home country, and we got married. Okay. But unfortunately, I couldn't have children. And eventually he got another woman who got pregnant, and we had to separate.
Okay.
So that was another shock, probably. Another crisis in my life.
Definitely.
And which led me to flee the country, because I didn't see any point of staying in my home country, get married to another man, and not being able to bring a child, which would be another shame I couldn't handle. So that's why I had to go and joined my sister who lives in Dubai,
Okay.
who was very kind to offer shelter and help me to get a job in Dubai. So that's where I met a father of my 2 children.
So let's just rewind a bit.
In-
So you moved to Dubai
I moved to Dubai
to meet with to
to
see
join
your
my
sister.
sister, to join my sister, and I got a job there and was just working and living the life of a single woman again.
What was the job you got?
I got to be a shopping assistant, shop called Pull and Bear,
Okay.
but I think within a few months I got a list of wholesale customers from post-Soviet Union countries. So mainly I was helping to choose styles and then taking them out for lunches,
Yeah.
then wrapping up all the goods and sending them by cargo. So that was kind of a success I had as a shopping assistant. So my manager literally would come and they say, okay, Cholpon, what have you got in your list here? And then I would have people coming regularly, and I was pretty much busy with them most of the time, taking them out for lunches.
So what is a shopping assistant? That's someone who takes people shopping and is that give them advice
So
or?
I was just a shopping assistant in the shop. So anyone who would come to the shop, I would be just on the floor, yeah.
Okay, and you advise the customers. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I had a list of wholesale customers here
Yeah.
who would come and shop in big quantities,
Yeah.
so I would take care of them to help them to choose the styles, take them out for lunches, and then
Yeah.
send the cargo and keep in touch with them.
Okay.
So that was quite enjoyable. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah. And then that's where you met your ex-partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I met a father of my children who is English as well.
Okay.
And I told him straight away that I can't have children, and he didn't mind either. So he wasn't motivated to have children either, and that went on for 18 months. And suddenly I got pregnant with my first son out of blue.
Okay. So the fact that your ex-husband and you both have children, it's not that like you guys can't have children, it's just you, for some reason the two of you couldn't have children together.
Yes,
basically.
yeah. I think we were incompatible with my first husband.
Yeah, so genetically
Definitely.
it's just not compatible.
But with my partner, it was a case of taking time. So it didn't happen straight away. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it still took a while.
It took 18 months.
Yeah.
18 months where we didn't even plan. And suddenly I got pregnant, and that was a miracle. And that's how I became a mother for the first time.
Yeah.
Which was one of my main goals as a human being. Especially it's very important in my home country to have children. That's regarded as a first-class asset, apart from having big house and expensive car.
Yeah.
Most number one priority is to have children, as many as possible.
As many as possible.
Yeah.
Like 5, 6.
Yeah, at least few, yeah,
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah.
So that relationship actually started okay. Then he was okay about me having a child, because I told him I'm gonna keep this child no matter what.
Yeah.
So he was okay about it, and then I had my daughter, which we didn't plan. And I stayed in relationship, but I knew that things weren't working for both of us. I stayed with him for 11 years, and finally I decided to leave because it just wasn't right in every aspect
Okay.
of a relationship. And that's where I did a 360-degree U-turn. I left everything, took my 2 children, and started from scratch in a foreign country.
So what did you guys break up and then you moved to the UK, or did you move before?
We moved to UK first when I had just first child.
So after you had Marcus, you moved to the UK, yeah?
Yeah, and then I had Erica here,
Yeah.
and then I carried on living with him, and then decided to leave,
Okay.
which probably was the best decision I have ever made, because I bumped into Tony after that.
Yeah. So why wasn't it working with him?
I just didn't trust him.
Okay.
Anything he said was not true. But even in those situations where he was actually telling the truth, I always suspected. So there was no trust, and that was the biggest no of existence of our relationship. And I suppose I was quite brave to leave that relationship, because I wasn't even financially that strong either. Especially, I didn't have any wealth behind me either, because we were never married. I wasn't entitled for anything. So I suppose until you make the decision and go for it, nothing happens.
Yeah.
So when I made the biggest decision and left him finally, I bumped into my current husband, whom I trust, and he's my best friend, best lover, and best supporter.
Yeah.
Probably I can even say he's the most trusted person. So I trust him 100%,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is very important
Yeah.
in a relationship.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Tony, because I've known you a number of years and stuff, and I've seen you change quite a lot since before, when you were with your ex-partner, to
Yeah.
now when you're with Tony, and it seems it's like the last few years when you've been Tony that you've sort of blossomed and you've come out of your shell, you're more confident and stuff. When I first met you, you weren't the same Cholpon. You were more like shy and stuff, more reserved and stuff. And I feel like Tony has been like, I feel like a lot of relationships, you don't really need to ask how it's going, because you can see the result of it from the person. And it's very much true of your relationship that, you know, I don't even need to ask, and I know it's good because you're just more confident. You like, you know, even your wardrobe's improved, everything's improved.
Yeah. I totally agree, because when you are in a relationship, it's important that both parties flourish.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it doesn't happen in real world. So I suppose I was quite lucky, but at the same time, I feel like I deserved him because of the past struggles and the past relationship failures. So it is kind of my long-awaited reward, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Where you don't have to pretend, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be yourself, and everything just easy in every aspect of our life, where we give each other enough freedom, but at the same time we have our quality time where we talk, where we discuss things, how we want to do X, Y, and Z.
What I like about Tony is, one thing about Tony is I see him as a man of vision. He's got a lot of ideas all the time. He's very well read. He's very astute. He can talk a lot about a variety of subjects. And I really liked when you told me about the fact that when you first started working for Tony, you didn't realise you had a lot of skills. And it was Tony who really just kept bringing it up, saying, "Oh yeah, Cholpon, you can do this, you can do that," and he really brought you out your shell, praised you for your skills and stuff, and almost cultivated you to so now that you have the self-confidence to do a lot of things you wouldn't have done in the past.
Yeah, because I joined his company as an admin person.
Yeah.
With no experience, none whatsoever. I probably was halfway through of my exams to get a diploma in financial planning.
Yeah.
And it was hard because English is not my native language, especially when it comes to financial terms. It is quite challenging to understand. So I can proudly say that I had in total 6 exams to get the diploma, and I passed only 1 exam first time. The rest 5 exams I failed at least 2-3 times.
Okay.
But eventually I resat and I passed all of them. But it took a lot of resilience and determination and perseverance, because there were times when I just wanted to give up, but I didn't, because of the resilience I built up at my childhood. So that's why I am pretty confident that hardship is actually good for every human being. If you don't go through the hardship, you will never know what it's like to be in that hardship. Once you go through the hardship, you will appreciate, and you will not just give up. And then I became a financial advisor, and it wasn't just advising clients and dealing with wealthy people, but also operational side of the business. Things like leadership, managing your team, which can be quite challenging. But Tony kept saying to me that you have got these qualities, you have got these skills, and you are good at it, which I didn't know myself. So my husband probably helped me to acknowledge and accept those qualities.
Yeah.
And that's why this year will be 3rd year since I became a top-rated financial advisor nationally in the UK, and my name is featured in 3 national newspapers. One of them is The Times and The Sunday, and there's another one which was based on the reviews of my existing and future clients.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know how I did it. It's just one of those things. When you do the hard work, success will come to you, one way or another. Yeah.
And you had the hardship as a driver.
Yes. I think hardship was an instrumental part of who I am today. So the main message I would like to the listeners, that you can always use your hardship as your benefits and turn it into a success, because you have only got 2 options. One is to carry on being miserable, or second, you get up, dress up and show up. If you do these 3 things, success will come to you. So just take small actions every day. Even though you may not have that confidence, you will get there at some point. Sooner or later, you will get that success.
Yeah.
It will just come, inevitable. So now, for me, of course, it's not the end. it's a beginning of new.
Hmm.
So I have got a few other projects lined up in terms of professional career and my passions I have developed over the years. And yeah, the future looks quite exciting, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And you've also got a Instagram which Fashion for a Fraction, which is all about fashion, dressing up. But you also post. I know you post a lot of mindset stuff on there as well. It's almost like the main posts are about fashion and stuff, but then all your stories are half of it's about like mindset. You're quite into that as well, right?
Yeah. So dressing up side of me probably comes from my childhood as well. When I used to go to my mom's work, she would have a dressing room for costumes, for national costumes, for singers and dancers. So I would spend a lot of time there looking and trying on those nice and beautifully made costumes, which typically would be like a frill dress long and velvet gilet, which would be covered in stones, pearls and beads and golden threads, beautiful hats and jewelry. So that's how my passion probably developed at my childhood. And now I try to get that message across to all the women out there that you can look after yourself, you can dress well, and you can look presentable, whatever you do. But underneath that fashion, of course, I have two pillars where I try to keep on, which is eating healthy and exercising.
Okay.
So if you eat healthy, you're gonna feel good, and if you exercise, you're gonna be in a good shape. If you are in a good shape, it means you can put on anything and it's gonna look nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what I post on Instagram is just a surface, but underneath is actually hard work, where even if you go twice a week to the gym, you do it systematically without failure. And of course, here and now you can eat processed food like Burger King or something like that, which I try to avoid at all costs, by the way. As long as you eat healthy most of the time, that's what counts.
Yeah. So what does like a meal look for you? A meal for the day look like for you?
So cooking is one of my passions. I absolutely love cooking. Especially it is not just for me, but for my two children and for my husband, who doesn't cook, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, Tony doesn't cook.
But it's very important to cook from scratch. I usually cook from fresh ingredients, trying to keep it as healthy as possible. And I quite enjoy it. It's good fun.
Something interesting I've always thought is I think you'll be good as like, I know your channel is about fashion, but I think like it's really interesting when you put the mindset stuff as well. I think because you've actually got a really interesting story. So although people go on your channel and they think, oh, it's about fashion, I'm really into fashion and stuff, I think the mindset stuff is also really interesting. So I've always thought like, yeah, maybe this is something you can get into, because you've got a good story and you've got interesting like way of seeing the world, sort of interesting philosophy of life, and like I was talking to you, I think, about the law of attraction and how you said like you attracted Tony into your life, you attracted your husband.
I attracted, and even now it happens. I read a lot of books, mainly on self-development, and I always have books lined up because I look out for good books in general. So one of the instrumental books I've read at my childhood was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends. That was the first step of forming relationships with people in general, which I still very much value as one of the first books I have ever read on relationships. And the other one, which I read recently, maybe 12 to 18 months ago, is Mind Valley, How to Control Your Mind. It's very small and thin book.
Okay.
You can sign up for online version as well, like a course, but I just bought the book and I've read the book. And what is happening is that since I've read this book, I can see my dreams vividly every day, which before I never remembered. And they are so vivid that some of the things come to my dream are actually quite spooky, because whatever you thinking subconsciously actually comes back to me through my dreams.
Okay.
And for example, before we started this podcast, my husband made me coffee, and then he brought it in a big mug, in a big cup. But when we actually sat down, you told me that we needed another tripod, and which meant we couldn't start the podcast straight away. And straight away, that gave me an opportunity to change the cup my husband brought to this beautiful one.
Okay, we should expect on camera.
Yeah. This is actually the one we use every day in the evening. After meal, we have tea with my husband every evening.
You've got a nice teapot, don't you? Which you use. Yeah.
And this is just a little example, but generally, I strongly believe that what you think about you is what takes place in your life. About yourself or about anything. If you have positive thoughts, it means anything you do will be positive. So now I'm very mindful about what I think about.
Yeah.
Because generally as a human being, we are tend to think negatively about everything. That's how we are wired. But if you take control of your mind, you'll be surprised that everything you do will become meaningful. There is no messing around. And that happens time and time again. And now, of course, after this, I'm tempted to actually get that course and have a go on it. Because it's powerful and it works.
Yeah.
You can literally attract the right type of people into your life just by thinking positively, thinking correctly, in the right direction. So that's just one of the powerful books I read recently. But the other book, which was given to me by a very nice lady after I did the public speaking in Coventry University a few years ago, it was Bad Girls of the History.
Sorry, Bad Girls.
Bad Girls of the History.
Bad Girls of the History.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a quite big book, but each page will contain a short history of a particular woman. For example, throughout the history, yeah? And then one of them is that Cleopatra, for example. So whenever I feel down, for example, I pick up that book and I read one page, which straight away lifts me up and gives me such a boost that I'm like, I can do it. So I haven't read all the pages on purpose. So I'm saving the pages. So whenever I need a boost, I go back to that book.
In the book, you read about these strong women, and then you take inspiration from that, and that gives you strength. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And what I find interesting is that in terms of like personal transformation, one of the hardest things to get over is your own personal identity. People feel trapped in their identity. So if you grew up and you were quite shy and stuff, it's very hard to be confident in different situations. And I was watching a video the other day. It's by a former Special Forces soldier. He was in the SBS, the Special Boat Service, the British Army or British Navy, and he was saying that if you don't feel like you can do something, just take on something else as a persona. And the video was called something like "Be like Batman." So you think like, okay, I don't feel confident to deal with this situation, but if I was Batman, then how would I deal with this? And then what happens when you do this sort of exercise is you take your own personal self out of the equation and you think in terms of someone else's persona, and that helps you get over difficult situations. That's what I find quite interesting.
Yeah. That Bad Girls of the History does exactly the same effect, what you just told me.
Yeah, so you sort of read about these different personas and then you can almost embody those personas and then act through those personas.
Yes. Because you can see that the one common theme was never give up.
Yeah.
And also, very important, when you have a goal, for example, don't worry about all the steps you have to do. Your task is to work out what is the next right step.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Once you take the first step, the next step will follow. Because there is a power of that very first step you take, which ultimately will get you to where you want to be.
One of my favourite quotes is, "The path will be illuminated as you walk it."
Yes.
So don't worry about like seeing the whole path.
Yes.
Just take a step, and then you there's going to be more light on the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step.
Yes. But because we are human beings, guess what? A lot of us don't want to take that first step because it's scary. Fear takes over, then we stop. We find every excuse in the world not to take that first step. But if you take that first step, no matter whether it's gonna be successful or not successful, you will find out in the process of taking that first step. But even if you fail, you just get up and take another step. Because success is not guaranteed 100% every step you take. There will be failures, there will be ups and downs. Like if I look from what I remember from my childhood all the way up until now, where I am 43 years old, I went through the ups and downs. And what happened was that from my childhood, every time I fell, I got up and carried on. And the same pattern is happening. And this is just normal. This is just called life. Nothing is linear. As long as you don't give up, you get up and you carry on.
Yeah.
That's a secret. Nothing special, nothing, difficult. But that's a simple analogy I can make of my life. And of course, it's not the end. And I have more ambitious goals and more ambitious projects coming up, which looks quite exciting. And we're talking not just UK, but US, Middle East, which will take place only if I start taking those first steps and then enjoy the process,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. When you were speaking, something that came to me was it's a quote from Rocky, Rocky Balboa, the boxer, the film. He said, "It's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forwards."
Because other person's hit can be harder than yours, right?
Yeah. But you can still keep moving forwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, until you get knocked out.
Yeah.
Then that's too much.
Yeah. But even then, you recover, right?
You wake up and you keep going.
You go back to your training.
Yeah.
You learn your lesson, and then you go sign up for another fight, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I like about coming to see you and Tony. It's good, like, motivation. We hang out, we talk, and it's always like lifts the mindset.
Yes.
And then go back and get on with my life and stuff. And then we hang out again, and then we talk about these ideas and stuff. It's always really inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the 5 people you hang out the most tells a lot about you.
Okay.
So if you tell me, it's actually as per Dale Carnegie's book as well, yeah? Show me 5 people you hang out the most, I'll tell you who you are. So you also have to be careful who you let into your life.
Yeah.
Because you will become one of them. If one of them loves going to the gym, sooner or later you will start going to the gym. Because we copy each other pretty much. And if you surround yourself with more successful people, then you will learn from them. And you will slowly but surely become one of them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So think of 5 people you hang out the most. Made you think now, yeah?
What I was thinking is I tend to hang out with a lot with people that have broken stuff in their house because they need help fixing it. So, what does that say? Like a modern Bob the Builder.
It means you like helping other people, but also not just helping them to fix stuff, but about their personality, yeah? What do they do? What interests do they share? You will pick up their habits, basically, yeah?
Yeah. Just thinking, like, who do I hang out with most now?
That's a homework for you, yeah?
That's a homework for me. I need to do like an audit of people I hang out with.
Yeah. So this time I became more mindful about who I hung out with.
Yeah.
And the limit is only you. You put the limit on everything, no one else. And you are the one who can move that goalpost, yeah? You can always go higher, you can always go higher and higher, and there is no limit. So whatever you have in mind, you can keep moving the goalpost to get more challenging tasks. Because as a human being, you can actually take that on. There is nothing we cannot take on.
Yeah.
We are so resilient as human beings in general that we can, take on anything. Look at the past 2 world wars in history. People got used to it, yeah? People got used to the fact that there was a war and there was a shortage of food and everything was limited. So as a human being, we are actually quite strong and resilient. There is nothing out there we cannot accomplish, pretty much. And again, it comes with mindset. If you have got an attitude of, I can do it, you will certainly will do it. But if you have got doubt, then you will never do it. And I am actually hooked on the podcast at the moment, which is Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
The one I'm listening at the moment is about relationships, and they talk also about mindset. Yeah, if you they talk about mindset and self-esteem. People who have got a high self-esteem, they are likely to achieve in life. But how to get that self-esteem? And they were talking about you can do exercise, you can meditate, and you can journal. So those little things can help you to accomplish, because if you exercise, you would feel proud of yourself that you actually exercised. And once you exercise, you feel actually good. So this already increases your self-esteem, you see. And journaling helps you to clear your mind, to jot down a few things you have done. Or it can be a gratitude thing, like you can just write down 3 things you are grateful for. And it doesn't have to be like materialistic. It can be as simple as seeing the sunrise, for example, or being able to walk, or being able to talk. That's also gratitude, which we just take for granted. I actually bought a very nice notebook with a pen, specifically designed for gratitude.
Okay, so you've got a gratitude journal now.
Yeah, I've got gratitude journal, and I've got a journal book.
Yeah.
In general, where I share my thoughts about things. And I meditate every day using an app called Calm. And the favorite coach is Jay Shetty. He's very motivational.
Jay Shetty's the monk, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the one.
Yeah.
So he talks about a lot of this kind of things, and really resonates with me. I really feel close to his sayings and topics he covers, which is quite powerful.
Is there any other authors that you really like? Or any books which you really like?
The best book still remains Dale Carnegie. It's
How
one
to
of
Win
the
Friends
old
and
ones.
Influence People. You know what? That book is actually one of my brother's favourite books. He actually gave me that book, and he said,
he?
he said, this is what my business is based on. That's what he said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you read that?
I never read it.
Probably you can read it now, yeah?
Yeah, I got to read it now. See, a number of people have recommended it, and I know it's like a lot of people say it's a must read, it's a classic.
Yeah, it's one of the all-time classics, yeah?
Yeah. I do like a lot of self-improvement books. One of the ones I really like is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's quite a good book.
What did you learn in that book?
One of the main ideas is about paradigms. A lot of relationships, they move from 3 stages. One is a codependent relationship.
Yeah.
Where you're sort of like needy for the other person. And then you move to an independent relationship where both people are independent, they're adult, they don't need anything from each other.
Yeah.
But that's still not the best relationship. He described it as 1 add 1 equals 2. So although you're both functional people, it doesn't create the best outcomes. So he says the best kind of relationships are synergistic relationships, where it's like 1 add 1 is like infinity. Because some people, when you just hang out, the outcome is greater than you would think given the inputs. So that's what I feel when I hang out and talk to you and Tony and stuff. We always come up with ideas. Like out of just talking to Tony, we came up with his brand, Tony Talks Money, and we were filming stuff. And now you've got the same camera as me.
We're just copying you.
I'm like your tech advisor.
Yes, you are. Self-appointed as well.
Yeah, probably you're going to have a podcast soon as well, aren't you, Cholpon? Cholpon's podcast.
I have no doubts about it.
Yeah, the Fashion for Fraction podcast.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
You can bring like fashion icons and talk about mindset and all kinds of things, can't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I listen to Diary of a CEO as well, and I listen to Modern Wisdom as well, which is another podcast, Chris Williamson, and they both had each other on the show, So
Okay.
Chris
They invited
Williamson
each other, yeah?
had Stephen Bartlett on his show. And what I found interesting is the fact that they are both in the podcast space. He said there's no competition because it's all about collaboration, not competition. So they have very similar guests, but the podcasts are not necessarily the same because Stephen Bartlett approaches it from a certain perspective.
Yes.
And Chris Williamson approaches it from a different perspective. So Chris Williamson, he'll more focus on like facts and ideas, whereas Stephen Bartlett, he'll focus more on the person's emotional background,
side. Yeah.
his the person's upbringing, what motivates them to be how they are.
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree because there is abundance of everything for everyone.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of opportunities out there.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that your podcast will have your input, which is unique to only you.
Yeah.
So there is no one in this whole entire world exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
Because every person is unique in its own right. That's why, why not?
Yeah.
Let's make this podcast successful.
Yeah. Let's.
It will be our early years, years of your, setting up as a podcast coach or podcast presenter, yeah. Podcast presenter.
Yeah, I just find one thing I really like about the podcast format is I think it's really good for marketing for different people because I've spoken to a number of people, they're interested in doing podcasts, but it's really beneficial for their brand, their personal brand.
Yeah.
Say if I'm doing it with a coach and stuff, it helps them advertise their business because it helps the audience get to know them because we can have quite a long discussion, but we can also take clips from the podcast to repurpose it for shorter form for like TikTok or for Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's why I find it's just such a really it's such a good medium, and then you can if viewers like the content, they can watch the full podcast.
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree with you. 100%.
Yeah. That's why we need to do more podcasts with Tony.
Yeah. I think it would be good to do another podcast with Tony because the one you did was a few months back, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago now.
So now things have changed and things can be seen from different perspective, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Which is always good to catch up, yeah?
Yeah, and Tony's always very interesting to talk to because he can just talk about something, and like we've had discussions just sitting in your kitchen where we're talking. I just think like we should be recording this. Tony's talking about so many interesting things and stuff. We should just put a camera and just film him the whole time.
Yes.
You can get so much stuff for his YouTube channels and stuff. So
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take this camera to the kitchen now because we are about to have dinner. Yeah.
We're about to have dinner.
I think Tony is cooking tonight.
Tony's cooking.
I think it's a puff pastry with roasted vegetables on top, which is one of his signature dishes.
Okay.
Out of his handful recipes.
Okay.
I would say, yeah.
So this is gonna be like.
So it's a special treat,
It's gonna be the first time I've eaten something cooked by Tony, I think.
Yeah, it's not gonna be every time me sitting in a nice dress and with a cup of coffee, being waitered and dinner cooked. Yeah. So it's a special treat, Paul.
Yeah.
It's only if he's actually cooking, he may not even start it.
Maybe just sitting watching football. We're going to come out. Where's the food?
You and I may end up chopping up the vegetables.
Yeah, we'll be cooking. Right, Cholpon, this has been really enjoyable talking to you. So if people want to get in touch, how can they get in touch with you?
So my Instagram handle is fashion_for_fashion.
Okay.
That's where I
fashion_for_fraction.
Fraction,
sorry. Yeah.
So main idea is even this dress I'm wearing, I got it on sale. It cost me £12.99.
Yeah.
The brand called Zara.
Okay.
But I absolutely love it because it's a little black dress and you can just throw in a few accessories like this chunky pearl earrings, black ties, flats, and that's it. You're gonna look really presentable. And that's another habit I developed over the years, where I couldn't afford to pay full price for things I wanted to have, like clothing and stuff. And now, of course, I am in a position to pay full price, but my habit of looking for bargains is stronger than anything else.
Yeah.
So your habits are very important as well. What habits you have? So habits of saving, habits of looking for bargains in anything you can see around my house. Even this vase, even this horse, everything was bought for fraction of the original price.
So you got this horse?
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually bought this.
You bought this horse?
Because I absolutely love it, and I added this golden, what is it called? Ribbon.
Yeah.
To make it look nice.
Did you put the candles there as well?
Yeah, I put the candles in as well, and these are the dry roses from my garden.
Okay.
So nothing gets wasted in this house, yeah?
Okay.
Everything is self-sufficient.
So you run a tight ship, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's how I can put together an outfit for the fraction of an original price, yeah?
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend a fortune on your clothing.
Come in, Tony.
You're not recording?
Yeah, we are, but you can come in if you
Yeah.
want. Say hi, Tony.
We're just finishing.
We're just
yeah?
wrapping up,
Oh,
yeah?
let you finish. Shall I do that
Yeah,
puff pastry? Do you want
Yes.
to say have something to eat?
Yeah, sure. why not?
yeah.
Well,
Tony's cooking. That's amazing.
that's a risk.
It's alright, I'll take the risk. It's free food, right?
So with Tony, it's not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm cooking. It's like, it's a risk, yeah.
It's a risk, yeah?
Already makes you like think, oh.
I like risk. I like the odds. Cholpon, thank you very much for sharing your story today. It's been really enjoyable hearing your story, and I'm sure we'll have more interesting chats in the future as well.
Yeah, let's catch up in, few years time.
See how your mindset's changed.
Yeah. I'll hopefully be able to share some good news then as well.
Yeah.
In terms of my projects.
Sure. Look forward to that then.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank
I
you.
really enjoyed that, Paul.
Yeah.
Good luck with your podcast.